Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of LEG TV. It is week 11. It is a very important episode as we go into the playoff push. It is officially here. There's only 4 games left in the season. We're going to dive in to see who's in, who's likely out, who's got a shot, who ain't got a shot, all on today's episode. And let's look at the standings here. Still, Nick Shook at the top, even though he got upset by Jable Soul's Delta variant. Modelo virus picked up the win last week. He's still clinched a playoff spot at 9-1, tying Dan Nichols' record for second all-time longest winning streak, behind yours truly. Sitting at top, but look at that for points, 18-29. He is outscoring everybody. It's unreal. But let's look at this next tier here. We got Plow, who has been on a 2-game losing streak. Mick, who's been on a 3-game winning streak, and myself, who's won 4 games in a row. These are probably not a lock, but pretty guaranteed to get into the top 6, barring a total meltdown. A big matchup between Mick and myself this week with huge playoff ramifications. Now let's look at the big meaty part here. They're probably going to fight for the top, or for the bottom spots here, 5 and 6. We got Javel, we got Allen, we got Dahlgren, we got Joe, and Abby is still in the hunt there at 5 and 5 and 4 and 6 down there. These teams are going to be jockeying for position throughout the rest of the season to try to grab those last 2 spots, possibly advance there. One of the scariest teams to look out for is Dahlgren's Clock Gobblers, because they have the most points out of that entire group, even more than I do. So he has the position to advance the most there. Now, as you see at the bottom of the screen, doesn't look like Jason's going to recover from Cooper Kupp losing for the season. That's got to hurt. Dak Street Boys 3 and 7. Thank God it looks like it's not a four-peat. And poor David McCready is out of the playoff contention for another year. Don't think he's made the playoffs since he's joined this league. I'll have to look into that. But a lot of things happened last week, too. We had big news coming out of the NFL. First of all, Jeff Saturday, sitting in the ESPN studios, comes out, gets pulled off the couch after Frank Reich gets fired, and is now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, and they got their first win. And at the presser, Jim Irsay was asked, what led to this decision for Jeff Saturday? And, he said he thought about it really long and used his gut instinct and cocaine. Lots of cocaine. Mostly cocaine. That's thank you for that. Appreciate it. This picture is kind of funny. Also, as we mentioned, Cooper Kupp is out for the rest of the season, thus cementing Jason Servos' playoff end in hopes to get back into the playoffs. And I can't think of a person that's had a worse post-Super Bowl other than Tom Brady's family. It's not nice. It's not nice at all. All right, let's forget I said any of that. And let's go right to the matchups this week. As I mentioned, huge playoff ramifications on the line, and none are bigger than Party Like a Gronk Star versus Mick Barton. This is going to be a huge game of the week, and unfortunate for Mick, Week 11 buys are here, and there's a lot of players out. Tom Brady, gone. Travis Etienne, gone. Jalen Waddle, gone. And even with the substitutions, it's going to be tough for Mick to recover. Now, there is some QB issues with Party Like a Gronk Star. We have no idea what's going on with Kyler Murray. Is he healthy? Is he not? Is he going to even come back with Colt McCoy playing? I'm not going to dive into this really too much just because Mick has been hurt so badly by the buys that I'm going to take myself to win this week. I'm still going to take it this week in a pretty easy victory. Again, it's just very unfortunate for Mick running into me this week with everybody on bye. Okay, let's go to the next matchup. Joe Murdoch taking on the number 1 overall team, Fields of Gold. Now, on paper, it looks like Nick could run away with this, but there's also some issues with Mr. Nick Shook's team. A.J. Brown kind of disappeared last week, but holy cow, Jonathan Taylor looks like he's finally going to produce. I don't think so. I think the Raiders game was a fluke, but he's still got Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Jacobs is kind of trending down, which has also not really helped. And here's something to keep your eye on. Dameon Pierce in Houston, the Texans just signed Eno Benjamin, who was just cut from the Cardinals. So how many carries is Eno going to take away from Mr. Nick Shook? But really for him, I think it just depends on Patty Mahomes. He's got to put up big numbers. Is it going to be a 40 game? Is it going to be a 50 game? Or is it going to be an 18-point game? He's playing the Chargers, an okay defense. They're not that bad, but they're not that good either. And he's going to be relying on Patrick Mahomes. Now, if you go over to Joe's team, Jalen Hurts did not have a good game as they lost to the Redskins. They got their first loss, but he's going against the Colts. Overrated defense. I can't state that enough. I stated it at week 1 before there was a single game played. I look for Jalen Hurts to be a big factor too. So it's really going to come down to the quarterbacks there. Poor Joe's got to deal with Najee Harris. That's been a nightmare. And then Kareem Hunt, what a disappointment he's been. Now, he will benefit from Allen Robinson getting more looks since Cooper Kupp is out. But I still think Nick's going to win this. I don't want to pick him, but I think Nick is going to take this one this week. Book it. Now let's go over to a very important matchup. 4-6 John Dahlgren versus 5-5 Alan Nesson. This is also for playoff spot position. And Dahlgren is projected to win. He still has the most points, actually the third most points in the league, and he's sitting at 7th place. So he has the most potential to move up in the spots. And it all is going to come down to Josh Allen. Not a good game. That great game last week. He fumbled and, he still turns the ball over, actually leads the league in interceptions. So he lives and dies by how Josh Allen plays. But he also has some help from Austin Eckler, one of the best running backs in the league this year. I like Dahlgren's running backs this week. Eckler and Jamal Williams in Detroit. DeAndre Swift is not DeAndre Swift yet. He's still nursing that injury. Now let's go over to Nesson's team. Which Aaron Rodgers is going to show up? I think it's going to be the 15 to 20 point Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately. But man, Justin Jefferson is a beast. What a game last week. He has finally turned it on after a slow start. I think Allen's going to get a big performance from him. And Antonio Gibson has showed up. Antonio Gibson now providing points for fantasy football owners. And this is going to be a really close one. Unfortunately, because of the quarterback play, I think Josh Allen rebounds against the Browns, and Dahlgren gets a close call. I think it's going to come down to Monday night, and Dahlgren's going to pick up the win over Alan Nesson and move up in the playoff spots. Oh boy, here's a disappointment. Not really. I'm glad he's not doing well. Backstreet Boys. Sorry, Austin. You just won too much, okay? I'm relishing the fact that you're not going to be in the playoffs. Backstreet Boys versus Modelo Virus coming off a huge win against Nick Shook. And Jabel looks like he's on a roll. Lamar Jackson coming off the bye against the Panthers. He's had some time to rest, to heal. Hopefully he'll put up at least 30 points for Jabel. And CeeDee Lamb looks like a stud now that Dak's back in full swing. And Scary Terry finally had a game last week. Those three right there, the three-headed monster, are going to be Jabel's complete pillars for winning this game. Oh, and by the way, Joe Mixon, who scored like 60 points the other week. That's his other running back. Then you go over to Austin starting Russell Wilson. Ouch. Debo, even in the 49ers, man, Brandon Ayuk looks like he's taking over. As soon as Christian McCaffrey went there, Debo's kind of slid a little bit. But Kadarius Toney, however you say his name is, a good free agent pickup. Dalvin Cook's been hit or miss. And then he's taking a shot on Kyron Williams and Cole Kmet. I don't think so. I'm taking Jabel this week to win big. Now let's go over to Abalash Reddy's 4-6 McLaurin F1s versus the last place Indy Snatch Pounders with David McCready. McCready desperately needs a win. With Metcalf and Evans being on bye this week, not gonna happen. And he's starting Jacoby Brissett. Never a good spot when you have to start Jacoby Brissett. Ask the Browns and the Colts. And Justin Herbert, he's been kind of a disappointment this year. I mean, granted, his top two receivers are pretty much toast. Might get Keenan Allen back. Maybe Mike Williams in a couple weeks. We'll see. But he's going to rely heavily on now James Conner being healthy. And that's pretty much it. I mean, Tony Pollard in the flex is a nice play. Tony Pollard is better than Ezekiel Elliott. We knew this a couple of years ago. He's just a better back. Yet, they keep trying to give the ball to Ezekiel Elliott. Not even close. I like Abby this week, like 140 to 120. And the final matchup this week, it's the second place, Rockovich's David Plow, taking on the disappointing Smarmy Bastards, who unfortunately got some very terrible news. Their number one overall pick Cooper Kupp is out on IR and will not be in fantasy contention for the rest of the season. They're probably just going to shut him down. I mean, the Rams are an absolute dumpster fire. But some positives for Jason. Dak Prescott looking good, back into full swing. And Alvin Kamara and Miles Sanders is a dynamite running back combo. Alvin Kamara's probably got one of the best remaining schedules, but it's too little, too late for the smarmy bastards. Once Plow puts Joe Burrow back into the starting position with his other Cincinnati Bengal receivers, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, I don't think it's going to be close. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian McCaffrey, and Nick Chubb. I mean, there's no better running back duo on these teams than Plow's team, unfortunately, with Chubb and McCaffrey. I look for a big win. Oh, and by the way, in his flex, Deontay Foreman. So very running back heavy there for Mr. Plow. I think this is going to be a blowout, and he gets back on track. Well, there you go. There's the rundown for Week 11. Hopefully, we'll have a special guest for our Thanksgiving episode next week. That's to remain unseen. But anyways, good luck to all the players out there for playoff contention. Stay tuned, stay informed, stay engaged. We'll see you next week.